Noa ārangi aho, kei tamaki makaura aho e noho ana, ko tahi tā māua tamaiti. Kei whakatairanga, ako aho e mahi ana, ko Jenaia, Clarke aho. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Hi, I'm Jenaia Clarke. I'm 42 and come from a little town called Fielding. I now live in Auckland with my husband and our 6-year-old son. I work as a marketing and branding consultant and am a student at Open Polytech. Today I want to share my learning journey with you. My journey began back in 2011 after returning from living and working abroad for 10 years. 2011 I was 32, living a hedonistic lifestyle and soon to be married. We bought a house in Palmerston North and worked to pay the mortgage. I've always worked but wanted to secure my future in management positions rather than in support roles, and that's why I wanted to study to broaden my skills. On reflection of my learning journey, it can be broken down into two quite different cycles. The first study cycle I wanted to kind of dip my toes in with the aim of completing a degree by the time I was 40, so that pretty much gave me 8 years. My study had to fit into my lifestyle. I didn't want to make too many sacrifices that would cut into that lifestyle. My second study cycle, I was over 40. I'd missed my goal, so it was time to accelerate my learning and get back on track and get it done as fast as possible. But this would involve making sacrifices. I'm going to talk through each study cycle today and give you an insight into the flexibility I've enjoyed and share my thoughts on possible ways to enhance that further. So first up, I needed to do my research by searching for somewhere that was the right fit for my needs. I lived in Palmerston North and I knew that we'd moved cities at least twice, so that was a big factor in making my initial choice, as I needed to know that I could continue learning without breaking my studies by moving. We actually ended up moving 4 times in 10 years. I started my learning in Palmerston North, we moved to Napier, then to Wellington, before finally laying down roots in Auckland. And we may still end up moving again, possibly to a more remote location like Queenstown. Another crucial factor was that I wanted to remain working full-time, but my employer was not interested in allowing time off for studies, so part-time wasn't an option. And I also needed to pay for my own studies. I didn't want a student loan. Self-funding meant that it had to fit within my own budget constraints. So distance learning looked to be my only option that suited all of these needs. But distance learning at that time had limited options in the fields of study that I was interested in. Open Polytech was the obvious choice, as it spanned the whole country and learning materials were provided. And I was able to enroll in a Bachelor of Business degree with no specified major. I continued doing 1 paper per trimester for a couple of years, and this suited me perfectly as I was able to move cities and seamlessly continue studies. So I came up against a few challenges during the first study cycle. After settling in Auckland, I had a baby, which brought the first cycle of studies to an end. This realization came about as I'd had my baby a week before final exams, and the logistics of leaving a newborn baby that required feeding every 2 hours to attend a 3-hour exam while recovering from a cesarean, I just couldn't reconcile it. So I did not complete for that paper and had to repeat it. My focus during maternity leave then switched as I struggled to balance my free time with study time, and so I parked my studies for the next 4 years. So that brought me to my second study cycle. So by now I'm 40. I'm in a fast-paced job in middle management, having been living in Auckland, and I've totally got this motherhood thing nailed. My hedonistic days are well and truly over, and I've got free time in the evenings and weekends, far too much time for Netflix. So I'm 40, I've missed the goal of attaining my degree, but now I have an employer that encourages study. Not only that, they provide a $10,000 annual budget for professional development and actually allow time for study. Game on, I think. So I do my research again for learning providers, because now I've got access to any learning institution in the city. This time I'm focused on studying for a business degree with a major in marketing. I've already completed a number of papers through distance learning with Open Polytech, but now I could potentially attend a campus a day or two a week and maybe cross-credit my papers to a new institution. But I look around, but what I want to study is not available in part-time, and I'm not leaving my well-paid job to study full-time with millennials and Gen Zers. It's definitely not in my repertoire. So my research concludes that distance learning with OPNZ is still my best option. I map out my study plan to finish by 2021. So eager to get started straight away, I contact Open Polytech to enrol, but unfortunately I missed the enrolment cutoff by a couple of weeks, so I'll have to wait another 3 months before I can start. But it's so gutting, and I'm still super eager to start learning something. I sign up with another institution and do a 3-month diploma at a night school, and it was for a diploma in marketing. So I get ready for my next trimester at OPNZ. I then remap my study plan, and I think, okay, I'll do 3 papers per trimester and still aim for that finish date. I know it's a lot to take on, and I know my own limitations, but I'm aware of the risks, the workload, and my available time. But these risks are something I am in control of, so I know that I can really nail it. So I enroll for 3 papers, but it's a total red flag for the academic registrar. They won't let me do 3 papers. That's full-time study, and I already work full-time. So I convinced them that I know what I'm up for. I just finished a diploma and I was committed to my study plan. I know I can do 3 papers without any issues, but they weren't having it. So I said, what if I'm only working part-time? Would that work? Yes, they would consider that, and boom, I'm in for 3 papers per trimester. So now I'm on track to graduate, but COVID-19 throws a spanner in the works, and I'm made redundant, saying goodbye to my funding. So studying 3 papers a trimester, I'm up for more than $2,000 a trimester, but I only have 2 tries to go. I'm so close to finishing now that I don't really want to pivot my course from reaching my goal. So I begrudgingly apply for a student loan for the remainder of my course fees, which is around $4,000. Had I not been able to get funding this way, I would definitely not have continued my studies. So I'm so grateful I was able to do that. Now in my last trimester of study, the end is in sight, but it won't be the end of my studies. I plan to continue in my professional development, and I'm now researching my study cycle 3, what postgraduate study I can undertake. Distance learning suits me. It has been flexible around how my life has evolved and the demands of my lifestyle and my family, most importantly. I know what I can control and my own limitations, so I'll seek a provider that is flexible over how I want to study, that can allow me to study at my own pace, be it as slow or as fast as I want. Flexibility for me will be influenced around how I can achieve my goals and how I can fund them, more importantly. Flexibility has also allowed me to move around geographic locations and life stages while still remaining with the same provider, and I really appreciate that. I started my journey wanting to dip my toes in, but now I know that because of my achiever strength, I just want to get things done as fast as possible. And finally, one more thing I thought I would share today. 2 years ago, I signed up to an Audible subscription. The free time I do have, I spend either exercising or commuting. And while doing this, I listen to audiobooks. And I listen to various genres, but mainly business and non-fiction. Over the last 2 years, I've listened to 93 books by simply using this time to multitask. During the same 2-year period, the amount of hard copy books I've read is 3. I simply just don't have the time to sit down and read a book unless it's scheduled study. Could it be that the future of learning could also be delivered in audio format? I know that for me this flexibility would allow me to absorb the information faster, but also have more impact when I also do the online learning. It's food for thought. Thank you. Ka kite anō.